the American Constitutional Republic. Affairs of State in Oklahoma. The beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people like you. This is 3D Politics. Tonight, and as usual, featuring creator of Sooner Politics, expert on Oklahoma state government, professional advocate for those needing mental health care, running for state vice chair in Oklahoma GOP. Please welcome David Vann. Also, as usual, and on the run in the COVID chase car, founder and scholar at Constitutional Grounds, political leader, educational speaker David Oldham, and of course, me, your fine host, the Verbal Viking, Tommy McKay. Find me at verbalviking.com. And without further ado, let's bring in Ronda Vuillemont-Smith, by golly. I will beam her in as we admit her. Here she comes. She's joining now. There's a beautiful picture of her assistant. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's make sure we can hear her.
There we go.
Can we hear you? Connecting to audio almost. Okay, you got to unmute. We can almost see you. I mean, we can see you. We can almost hear you. You got to unmute, though. There it is. Let's hear you.
How's that?
There she is, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Ronda Vuillemont-Smith.
You don't have to do it over the phone anymore.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Ronda Vuillemont-Smith, thanks for joining us. It's been weeks in the making. And we appreciate you showing up. Tulsa County GOP Chair just recently won that. Tonight, I don't want to relive a whole bunch of history, but I do want a tiny bit of a civics lesson. I want to know, what is the Tulsa County GOP Chair? What do they do? What are your duties? And then lead us into what do you want to do that fixes stuff from what hasn't been done yet?
Well, my duties are to represent the Republican Party and to help in organizing precincts and to grow the party. Of course, you've got to raise money as well, but basically that's what my responsibilities are. I've been having numerous meetings. We are setting up a medias and communications. We are working on just different ideas that we've got. I've got a great team. I probably have the most diverse team of any Republican Party I know, at least in the state, if not in the United States. We have 3 African-American individuals, and there are 4 women on my leadership team.
So, I mean, the fact that you're focused first on representation, that rings my bell. I like that. And so I guess, I mean, from what you're telling me, the Tulsa County GOP is highly representative of, I guess, I mean, the nation, or at least half the nation through the GOP.
Well, I think we're very well represented in Tulsa County, and we have big plans to go a long way to set the standard for other counties across the state.
So what are the simple kind of, with the, as you represent, you have to meet on occasion, you have to format or plug in or email or do something. So what are some of the basic civic duties if say, when you're done with your position, someone coming up behind you and you had to say, well, look, the thing you got to do the most is what? What's the thing you got to do?
Organize.
But I mean, well, okay. I mean, not in general. What I'm saying is organize. Does that mean Excel spreadsheet? What does that mean?
Yes, and I hate Excel. I don't understand it. I am totally lost. No, I'm going to tell you that first week I saw so many Excel spreadsheets, my eyes were crossing.
That's Mike McCutcheon for you.
Well,
he was all about Windows.
Well, you had to send in everybody's information, and then if you've got bad information and you've got to correct it, and then you get this one that this Excel spreadsheet that you can compare against this Excel spreadsheet. I'm sorry, I'm having a problem. I guess my ears aren't as big as David's.
No, but I mean, we're hearing you
If I'm
fine, but
using
I love
David-
it. You're literally answering my question, because that's what I wanted, was a tiny bit of the boring. So it sounds, so it's like any other leader of a group. You're grooming lists of people who are in the list or in the group. You got to go through and clarify accurate information of lists of groups, right?
Well, and realize, Tom, that we had about 560 people
Yeah.
that we submitted for the for the convention, for the state convention. So we are going to have a wonderful representation from Tulsa County.
So what that means is there's 500 people in the group that is convened to represent Tulsa County.
Right, but Tulsa County only has, I think we have 277 votes.
Well, yeah, that's our delegation.
That's our delegation,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our delegation, we get 277 votes, but we can take as many people as want to go to the convention.
Excellent. That's always
No, we
good.
chose
Alden, what do
to
you got?
go as an open convention, correct?
Right.
Yes, we did.
Okay, so everybody gets to participate, but your vote may be a portion if we get more than the 270
Right.
to actually show
The
up.
Republican Party uses a weighted voting system, and so your vote can never be counted for more than 2 votes, and it
Yeah.
can't be counted, but you can't ever exceed the allotted number of delegates that were given to us. So
Yeah.
if we had 300 people that showed up and 277 are what we have allotted, then it's a fraction of a vote.
Right.
But if we had 150 people show up and we have 277, then those votes would equal, based on the allotment, the 277.
So, I mean, part of the Tulsa County GOP chair's job is
Herding cats.
so
Yes,
you got
herding
to
cats.
you got to touch base with the numbers so that the parliamentarians know. You have to accurately identify the numbers so that the parliamentarians know where you stand in any one given time with the numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's that you kind of
It's a
have to
very
overlap.
complicated process.
Well, even though I'm a man, I may be able to follow it.
Only if you stop and ask for directions first.
Yeah, but Tom,
Never.
there is one legal power that in Ronda and I've been a part of this is appointing a representative to the county election board. That's one of the things, that the county party gets to do. So,
What's your thoughts on that, Rhonda?
Who knew?
What's he talking about, Rhonda?
No, he's just saying that at the election board, there should be representation from both the Republicans and the Democrats. Currently, it's George Weiland that serves as our elector down there, or election official. Bob Jack is the reserve or alternate.
Mhm.
So, and I'm sure that if the situation were to come open, then of course we would be given the opportunity
Sure.
to appoint someone else, but it would likely be Bob Jack would move up into that position.
mhm. Yeah,
So-
and not only do they oversee the election process itself, but they hear the challenges to candidate
Mhm.
filings. So it can be pretty influential.
Well, and there was a lot, especially this last election cycle, with all of the absentee ballots that
Mhm.
came in,
Yeah.
and a lot of things that weren't done correctly, and so they had to come to an agreement between the two, the Republican and the Democrat, whether that vote would be that ballot would be accepted or not.
Yeah.
They do have a big responsibility.
It seems like your job is part, administrative and part parliamentarian. You almost have to overlap with the rules versus, all just basic administration. Who's in the group,
Pretty
what's
much.
their address,
And,
Well, I mean-
and then it's also den mother, right? So
That makes sense, Oldham. Actually,
tell us what you are doing, because the Republican Party is made up of cats, as you put it,
Right.
and everybody's got an idea and wants to help out, and especially right now when so many people are activated because of all of the egregious
Right.
things that we've seen going on.
Mhm.
What are you doing to help encourage all of these people and still kind of control things, as it were? But because I know not every idea is going to come from you.
No, and I know I'm doing something wrong because this thing keeps falling out.
Just don't admit
No,
it.
you're
It'll
not.
be
No,
fine.
I've been having a lot of meetings. I've met with a number of people that have really reached out in an effort to want to help the party to contribute in some way. And I've been very blessed by the outpouring of opportunities to get to know different people within the party. So I did have one because of the unusual way that we handled our meeting this year, where we had the precinct meeting and the convention at the same time. We ended up because we had also agreed that if a precinct wanted to hold their meeting ahead of time in their own precinct, that they could do that as long as they let the chairman know. And that occurred in 2 different precincts. Well, one of the precincts we ended up with having having the meeting also at the convention because they didn't know that there had been a meeting already set. So now I'm having to work through that and trying to, because there can only be one precinct chair and one precinct vice chair.
Right.
And so we're working through that process right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Good.
Rhonda, I want to mention, I remember 2013, this was right after you and I worked on Santorum's campaign, and we've had a lot of friends with the Ron Paul campaign. Oldham was one of those in that campaign. But I remember how—
Was he a friend then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do remember how you and I, we really didn't talk about this, but we tried to find a way in 2013, reorganizing the party, to get the Ron Paul people involved and active and fully accepted. And I think it was a very successful thing. And I'm thinking about the Tea Party thing, which, you were a part of that big thing just a few years earlier. I go back a decade before that when the Pat Robertson religious right came in. And I remember how hated we were.
Yeah.
And so I think the message in all this is always be opening up and bringing new people in. And what I saw come out of the last convention was a great, demographic change in how many people for the first time went to convention just last month. So it's a good thing. And I know those things and value drawing new people in.
Well, I just think that if we continue to rely on the same people all the time, then it's kind of like doing the same thing over and over again. It's insanity. So we have to bring fresh ideas, because my ideas aren't the best ideas. I mean, I might have a good idea, but you might have a better idea. And I want to always be open to listening to other people and to even, to helping them to bring whatever their vision is to fruition, if it's within my power. And I think that's what I did, even with the Tulsa 912 project, and trying to bring in, like you say, the Ron Paul people and different. We have to be accepting. We have to know that we're not all the same. We're going to think differently. We also have to recognize that the party is not a church. So we're not here to get you saved.
Amen.
I hear you, but we're not here to get you saved. And if we want to be open to all, in the First Amendment, it says that, to protect political, or not political, but religious liberties.
Yes.
So then we have to protect all religious liberties, not just the ones that we like.
You are now still listening here with, you're listening to the voice of Ronda Vuillemont-Smith, the Tulsa County GOP Chair, along with me, Tommy McKay, your fine host with 3D Politics Live every Monday night. David Vann and David Oldham join me now. Ronda, I think you would agree then with, from what you just said, with GT Bynum, mayor of Tulsa, that the sum of all wisdom on this subject does not reside just within the Tulsa County GOP.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be funny. But I mean, what you're saying is, to be serious. It was really a good swing. The ball went right by. But I think what you're trying to say is that when you say you don't have good ideas, or you don't have every idea. You do have good ideas, and maybe you have all ideas, but the problems that we face are bigger than one person. It's bigger than one person's perspective or ability to see all facets.
Well, this isn't one person's party either. And just because I do it a certain way doesn't make it the right way. And so I'm always open to hear of other ideas, and you know, I'm always willing to sit down and listen. I may not always do what you want, but I'm willing to sit down and listen, and I'll at least try and connect you with people that can help you.
Do you know anybody that can repeal the 17th Amendment? Go ahead, Oldham.
You're stuck on that one, huh?
I'd say Oldham.
Forever, not just stuck. That's my hamburger hill, okay?
51% of 2/3 of the states. Or no, 3/4 of the states. We got to get 2/3 of them to call for it. But I think the big message that I see coming from you in everything that you're doing is, if you have an idea and you want to get it active, get active, volunteer. We'll put you to work with your idea. And you put people to work and help them, give them the resources within your power, and try to turn them on to resources. So everybody should come with their ideas, right?
Yes. And I now I lost my train of thought.
I think I stole it. I think I stole you. You're going to say something about the 17th Amendment.
No, I wouldn't. That's your gig.
I just killed some time for you. Hit
That's all right. No, I do want to hear everybody's ideas. And while, you know, I don't, I think that participation in the party is important, especially when you want to bring your ideas forth. And I think that spending time in the party and putting your time in, so to speak, pays off in the end, because that's where you've made the connections, you know how things work, and you can begin to branch out and do your own thing.
All right, Van, what do you got?
Yeah, Rhonda, how does this affect 912's leadership? Because, I mean, you can only spread yourself so thin.
That's a good question.
Well, 912 right now, we have a monthly meeting, the second Thursday of every month. So it's finding you know, speakers and stuff like that. But the part right now that is a little challenging is doing the emails, you know, getting the emails together. But it was also challenging here, and I finally just switched the email program that we were using here at the county, because I was spending so much time trying to figure it out that I wasn't getting it done.
Consolidating your apps.
I feel your pain. No, I was getting more to, you know, you've always been trying to find good leadership in 912. And now, I mean, I just, you know, are you looking for more people to step up there? Or?
Oh, I'd love to have more people step up there. I've got a wonderful vice president in one of your gentlemen's wives.
My God, my wife never told me it.
I know.
What?
I know. Yes.
Honey,
She's been working for a
trouble.
while. She's been writing big checks too.
Yeah.
What?
Well, Rhonda, I was telling you.
I do need to get some more people in leadership and stuff. But right now, you know, we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna continue to provide quality candidates, or not quality candidates, but quality speakers to come in and educate us and motivate us.
Well, you know, you and I were talking a couple years ago, because you're always coming up with ideas, and it's just learning to delegate off or hand off. I mean, look at this show tonight. You and I were talking about this 4 years ago,
right?
And we finally got it launched, and now we're celebrating our 2nd anniversary.
That's right. Happy anniversary. Happy
birthday. Hey, Rhonda, I keep saying, Rhonda helped me paint my background here. It's fine work back there.
Well, that is the best looking green I have ever seen.
Hold them.
So I can sing happy birthday to you if you'd like. You know,
but really, we did. We baked this. This was a baby fetus idea.
Oh no, I got it.
What if I did this thing? And your mother was like, well, as long as the dog doesn't bite you. He's like, that's a dog.
Well,
Tiny.
I'd like to see maybe you and Lori and some of the gals do a counterpart to this show.
Oh no, that's crazy, Van. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, is it something like what Brooke and I did when we did Sugar and
there
Spice?
you go. Yeah, what was that?
That was
Sugar
fun.
and Spice.
Sugar and Spice. Yeah.
Well, now, Rhonda, you have been in
nobody
this.
believed I was sugar.
See, the problem with that show is it wasn't sugar; it was sugar, and
no, it was supposed to be sugar. I'm from the South.
I didn't know you guys were going to go total racist on the air, you guys. Yeah. All of a sudden, now we're talking racist. Oh,
how is that racist?
Oh, who cares how it's racist?
I've determined that if you call me a racist, I call you a pedophile. So
I didn't call you racist. I didn't call you racist. I just said you're disgusting racism.
Way to crawfish.
So, are you saying then, Tom, you're not a pedophile? Is that what
I'm not anymore.
Not anymore.
Totally knocked the whole thing off. Yeah.
So, no, I agree. And actually, tonight we were meeting with our communications with the communications team, talking about what we want to do to put our welcome on there. We do want to incorporate video more. We do want to do some more. We do want to do some podcasts and stuff. But video is the way to get your message out, and you can get it out quick and everything. But right now I've got an elephant that I'm eating, and I'm trying to just eat it one bite at a time. People say, "Well, what's going on, Rhonda?" And I said, "Well, I feel like the dog that caught the car, and so now you got to figure out what you're going to do with it."
That sounds right.
So, but it's not a situation I've never been in before. So I'm familiar with it, and I actually love it. I've got wonderful volunteers that work in the office every day. I've got wonderful people that have stepped up and said, "Hey, what can I do to help?" And I just think that's a great thing. I think you're going to see wonderful and big things coming out of the Tulsa Republican Party by the time my term is over.
So I got a question, and you're talking about bringing new people in, and I know in certain ways, with all due respect, you're Madam Butterfly in politics. For me, I ran for mayor in 2016, and I didn't ask you first, and what I you know what I'm saying? So when you say I want a lot of people to join the GOP, well, I was frankly disappointed with how quickly anybody reached out to welcome me when I said I'm running now, because I got into a fight with Uncle Dewey Bartlett Jr. And that's what I was ticked off about, because he was basically lying to me on the Pat Campbell show about whether he knew the ballot language or not that he'd been pushing for 3.5 years, when I was able to look at it on my iPhone. So I went into battle against Dewey Bartlett Jr. Okay. But when I ran, when I filed, the answer that I got from you over the air on Pat Campbell's show was, you can't just file and start running. You got to meet people and go to meetings. And I was like, bull crap, I can start running right now. And I did. And it's not like I won. But what I'm saying is it took me 10 days to get a simple response from the GOP that I was running. It wasn't like they welcomed me with open arms. It was like going to the City Arts and trying to get involved in their local theater when they act like, oh, we welcome everybody. And when you get there and you say, I got an idea about conservative politics, and like, get out, you pig. You're a second responder. You're no good. So what I found out was, and even Van said, we'll support you during the primary and ditch you during the general because you can't win. And that's fine with me. That's good politics. Back to Oldham's point, how do we get these ideas in? And it's called the primary. And you got to let people like me, losers, nobody, that steps up with a good idea, okay? And we got to get that stuff in the primary discussion. And then, like Van, you go for the guy that might be able to win. But we cannot shun new guys like me who are so handsome and just let them run down the field. Pat Campbell did a disservice to the Tulsa community by not at least hearing my idea about extending the lifespan of cyclical municipal regulations like permits and licenses.
So have you run again?
I am running 3D Politics, interviewing people like you who matter, because I can do a better job doing this than I can appointing people to run 172 different task force like GT Bynum, who has really become emasculated in the last 4 years. Van, what do you got?
Rhonda, this is a little off subject, but
Okay.
you know, Pat Campbell and you have been friends for a long time. You've been a sponsor of his show. He's had health issues. Can you give us any update in respecting his privacy?
Just keep him in your prayers. He's had some health setbacks, and so if you just keep him in your prayers, that would be greatly appreciated, because he needs them, and he would love to get back, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
Hey, I hate to get back to Ken Reddick here. We've still never heard the details about Tom's good idea. Ken Reddick, when you run again, Ken Reddick, against GT Greg Robinson, you'll bring up extending the lifespan. Write it down, Ken. You'll extend. Now, Oldham, you can interrupt me in a second. Extend the lifespan of cyclical municipal regulations like permits and fees. We're not going to stamp them out all at once. It's incremental win. Plus, we've got Ronda on the show to talk to us about Tulsa County GOP Chair. Ronda, great job, Rainey. Listen, you really, I think really, regardless of whatever critique I might have of how fast anybody can respond in the GOP, I think the GOP has tightened their game, and they're better now than they were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know that I think that at least subliminally I was encouraged to run by you, not knowing you personally yet, but still you were there bringing out the issues of the GOP and encouraging me to run. And so I did, and that's a whole nother story. But you've been in it to win it. It's clearly a labor of love. It's not like anybody wants to pour through Excel spreadsheets because it feels so good. But so I really appreciate what you've been doing. Yes, Oldham.
I want to deal with the elephant in the room.
Oh God, I thought it left. Who is it?
Well, the let's let Ronda get her earpiece back in.
I got it. Okay.
What's the elephant, Oldham?
The elephant in the room, always with a new chairman, is can you raise money? Can you bring everybody together, the grassroots and the tall building crowd and all of that? What are your thoughts toward all of that?
Well, I'm going to do my best to raise money. I'm not going to make any promises that I can't keep. I do believe that grassroots needs to be involved in the fundraising, needs to be a part of it. I think we all need a little bit of skin in the game. It's real easy to point fingers at the party and say, oh, you should have done this and you should have done that. But when nobody's out there, if they're not supporting it, I don't want to depend. Here's what I don't want to have to depend on. I don't want to go to the legislators all the time and ask them for money. That's not. Then that puts them above the party. And I think that we need to keep the party above the politicians. And if they want to make a donation, they're more than welcome to. But I think that we need to try and work through the grassroots and some of the smaller donations, and maybe some in-kind donations. It's not always about money. Sometimes it's just about not having to spend the money.
Well, if I could on that, Rhonda, Bob Jack left the office in great shape, didn't he?
He left it in incredible shape.
Well over 30,000 is what I heard.
It was over $30,000. It sure was. And there's about $5,000 left. And so.
You mean you blew 20?
Okay. Wow. I got to get in on this GOP lottery.
Gotcha.
3 weeks, 25 grand.
For all the people that weren't listening, they're like, "Oh, shit, dang." I got to reset. Rhonda, you want to stick around? Hang on. We're going to reset. Everybody goes to dark. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Ronda Vuillemont-Smith on 3D Politics with Tommy McKay, your fine host, David Van and David Oldham. You guys get ready to reset. Okay, Rhonda, I'm going to put you back in the waiting room.
Okay.
Because this is how we play the game.
How many minutes do I have?
I did it.
Man, I'm not going to let you be host anymore. I'm not going to let you be co-host. You totally. That was just rude.
Out in the middle of
that was rude. Okay. Okay. Now, Van, take yourself out. Oldham, you got to go.
Oh, I have to go too. Oh,
everybody goes. Everybody goes. The American Constitutional Republic. Affairs of state in Oklahoma. The beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people just like you. This is 3D Politics. Here we are again. Tommy McKay, your verbal Viking, 3D Politics every Monday night right here on Facebook Live. Joining me every week, David Van, creator of Sooner Politics, expert on Oklahoma state government, running currently for state vice chair, and also David Oldham, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com, political leader, educational speaker, and the guy I really counted on in 2016 to let me sleep safely. All right, let's bring Ronda back in as we... Van, I'm just watching you, see what you did.
I had to take myself out to let her in.
We're bringing Ronda back in.
I had to take the cube out. The reason I took her out is so I could bring the cube in for your transition.
There we go.
We're trying. There she is. Okay, how was that fun, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, it's like the Himalaya. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. That's just like the Himalaya.
What is that pinging noise?
You're on the bridge of the Star Trek Enterprise with Tom.
Okay, because I'm like
you up.
Yeah, that was part of the pre-show checkup that you couldn't make earlier to explain to you. Tom's nuts.
Because he was in the middle of a...
All right, Oldham. She doesn't need you to stand up for her. She can push me away in a second. So anyway, Ronda, you have been a stalwart here in Tulsa. I know it because you subliminally helped me run my own emotional campaign against Dewey Bartlett, Uncle Bartlett Jr., that we know now was an inside job to hand the baton off to little cousin or little nephew GT. That's what I say.
Things the same way you do. I don't see that.
Well, that's why you're here. You can.
That's right.
You think there was a difference when I ran for mayor against GT and Dewey Bartlett? Dewey Bartlett ditched the women's league. He for the first time in 20 years, the sitting mayor did not show up at the women's league debate. And he left GT Bynum there. And Burt Mumolo said, "What do you think about about Dewey Bartlett not showing up?" And I said, "It's fine. GT Bynum is here to cover it because they both had the same agenda." What was the difference, Ronda, especially considering the future of the GOP? You tell me, what discernible difference was there between GT Bynum and Uncle Dewey?
Oh boy.
Well, I found Dewey to be a more conservative leader than what GT has. I think GT has really brought us and made us a more progressive type. I know, I get it, Tom, but I
can't. I'm going to be as polite as I can. I don't see any difference, but
yeah, but you know what?
It's an age difference. It's an age difference. Older guy might be better.
I want to come to Ronda's defense here. When you're a party official, you kind of have to get above these primary scuffles between past and potentially future candidates.
Well, that's true. As host, I can be as petty as I want.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll let you.
Now, mind you, we've had this discussion in the party and amongst ourselves for years now. Explain to us what are your ideas about what the party should be doing during the primaries to help educate and so forth about whether it's going to be the candidates or the issues.
Van is suddenly entertained. What the hell happened, Van?
Well, we cannot, you know, that we can't come out and endorse or
Yes.
support any candidate. You know, it's a primary.
Okay, that's what you're laughing.
We referee the fights is what
That's pretty much what we do. And you know, and people are get very discouraged. But I think there are some things that the Republican Party can do. I think that if you've got a candidate that is notably better than another, I think that there's a way either through forums or whatever that you can, that, you know, if we were to host the forums, that you can ferret out who might be the more conservative or who might think more like in the way that you're wanting it to happen. So I think there are ways that the party can get involved without taking sides.
Right.
Straw polls are a great way.
How then? So then you are in. I'm sorry, I'm just flabbergasted. So part of the problem I had as a newcomer and a nobody was the ability to distinguish myself against G.T. Bynum. I wasn't even allowed to call myself a Republican. I mean, it was like a nonpartisan purple race.
Well,
okay, so you don't want to distinguish anybody?
No, your council seats. No, I don't believe in the nonpartisan races.
Okay.
I think that they need to be done away with.
Yeah.
So how can the Tulsa County GOP?
Hang on. But in the meantime, what we can do, we can tell people who the Republican is in the race or who the Democrat is. But as far as, I would love to change it back to where it's a partisan race, because I think it's
got a
very
question.
important to know who the candidate, what the party affiliation is, because that's going to tell you a little bit about where the principles and values
are. Van, hold on. And Ronda, I appreciate you stiff arming me there. Oldham, what were you going to say?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought you had a thing. Okay,
I want to give
Van.
Ronda some news. Ronda, at the county convention, I talked to Dewey about it. I said, you know, we'd like to have a good honorary chairman of the move to repeal that, you know, nonpartisan charter.
That would be that's a great idea.
So follow up, because he told me he would.
So that's something that the GOP in Tulsa County can help move that thing.
Okay, and here's how it can be done, Tom. I mean, the thing is, there are rules set in place, and we have to play within the rules, okay? So the only way that that's going to get changed is if the city council says, hey, we want to change it, so we're going to put it on the ballot. Well, guess what? They're not going to do that. If the mayor says that he'd like it on the ballot, he's not going to do that either. So it's going to be up to the citizens to go out and get the necessary signatures. Yeah. Because that's going to be the only way that it can be forced to be placed on the ballot. Then they're not going to have a choice, because it's coming from the citizens. Yeah. So I would be behind that 110%, because I think that nonpartisan races are a sham.
And let's understand, that's not a constitutional issue. That's a political issue about how the elections are held.
That makes sense.
So that's fine. Mm-hmm. Let's get behind these.
We have Oldham's permission.
Oldham will now allow you to move about the country.
That's right. That's right.
Because the idea is that if you have authority to deal with it, deal with it. If you don't have authority, then don't commit the crime.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are ways we can make that happen, Tom. And I think that if we could make it happen here, we could probably change it. It would start the ball rolling across the state, because nobody likes the nonpartisan race.
Yeah, I mean, and I really appreciate your position on it, because not being able, I mean, to label is how we know, you know, red from green. It's literally, it's like, this is how we know. So that whole issue is just crazy with nonpartisan. So I'm glad.
And then also having elections in the middle of February, you know, like many of our school board races, we've got to fix those. Yeah.
We have got to get down to 2-3 times a year period for our elections.
Yeah.
Well, and because that's when, you know, your school, often on your school board and your city council, your filing dates are in December.
Yeah.
Well, what have you just done? We've either just come off of an election, so people are election weary. We're going through the holidays, and nobody thinks about it. And so next thing you know, now all of a sudden you've got the same candidates running, and there's no contenders. So we've really got to work on that. We've got to work on on finding candidates to start running for school board and city council.
Bingo.
But the difficult thing is we're in such a cancel culture right now that that people are almost afraid to run for office, because look at the pressure. I mean, I'm from Broken Arrow, and our city council has taken it, for the whole mask mandate. I mean, they did great for a year, and then we ended up with a resolution. But my city councilors don't make anything. Yeah. That's a volunteer position. And when they start going after your job, which they have done for some city councilors, they start going after their job to get them fired because they don't agree with the way that they think. Something's got to change in this, in that.
Yeah, well, you could just take the word "almost" away from your quote. They're almost afraid. No, they're afraid. I will tell you, I'm afraid. Yeah. I'm not going to run. I'm not going to. Well, I put myself out there once based on a chivalry. I mean, the guy's lying to me. Guy's lying to me on the air. I just, can't stand there and be a man and let the mayor just lie to not just me, everybody. Right. Telling me he didn't know the ballot language. So. God bless you. I mean, I think you're doing you're doing the right thing.
For being 5 weeks in the job, I'm not doing too bad a job.
Well, the thing is, it's not just 5 weeks. You've been doing it before I even ran. It's a mother's love for some reason. You've got it in your blood to try to save stuff.
You know what? We've only had one county chairman serve 2 full terms in the 40 years I've been involved in the party. It's a thankless job. You talked to Jerry Buchanan, I knew 20 years ago. He said nobody can do the job where they feel good about it because it's just too big for a volunteer to do.
Like I'm sorry, but like the 17th Amendment is a pillar. Rhonda, you hit it. A pillar because we do 3 things here on 3D Politics, and that's local, community, that's state, and then federal. Yeah. And
you forgot one.
Damn it.
Interrupt people.
Thanks. Timing is brilliant. But you said it, Rhonda, for the local community. City or city council and school board. That's where everything starts.
Yeah. Well, that's where we build our bench. Yeah. We can start to build our bench by getting people onto the city councils and the school boards to understand how running these meetings works, what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, and getting them involved in and getting to know the local people.
Right.
Then from there, when we have a rep or a state senator that terms out, we've got somebody that we can say, okay, we've seen how you vote. We understand how you think. We'd like for you to run for this seat. Yeah. That's what we have to do. We've not been building a bench.
So here's the 3 things I like now. Building a bench is a whole nother concept I heard from anybody else, because really that's a futuristic thought. It's not like what can we do to bring people here in the future? It's like let's recruit people now to be on deck. Yeah, it's a round ball, but you don't kick it with your foot, Oldham.
That's right.
Yeah, you soccer lovers. Anyway. I've turned off all round ball sports. I only love the oval ball sports, except for baseball.
All round ball sports,
except for baseball. I've got my hypocritical. I've learned from GT. I can be hypocritical. You're listening.
My Dodgers won in a short season.
Dodgers, Schmodgers. It's all with an asterisk because it's 2020. Tom McKay here with your fine host on 3D Politics Live. Featuring tonight our fine guest, Ronda Vuillemont-Smith, Tulsa County GOP Chair. Thank you for being here tonight, Ronda, and sharing your vision for the GOP, etc. Oldham out there losing his mind in the COVID chase car on the road. You couldn't tell with that fine green screen you got. And then there's Van sitting here in the beauty of his studio telling Alexa, do this, Alexa, do that.
There you go.
And then Uber Eats. And so way to go, Van and Oldham and Rhonda. Thanks for. So let's close this thing out somehow and give Rhonda a chance to get out of here. So we've talked about a lot of stuff. Make sure, Rhonda, before we get out of here, how do they find you? How do they support you? Future. What do you got? What do you want us to do to help you?
Well, I'd like for you, if you're not already signed up for our email, to go to tulsagop.org and sign up for the newsletter or email. I'm not going to call it a newsletter. And then also, I would like for you to do the same thing with okgop.com. I think it's very important that we start getting that you get both the county and the state emails. And you can reach me at, my email address is Ronda with no H at tulsagop.org. And my cell number for anyone that might want to get in touch with me is 918-853-7986.
All right.
Now, ladies, that's what you call a chutzpah right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Your cell phone number. That's pretty good. She's like, oh, yeah?
Yeah. Hey,
Call me.
give me a call. Yeah, that's right.
I just
No
remember
problem, call me.
when Trump gave out Lindsey Graham's cell phone number.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I figure if Steve Kunzweiler can give his out on the radio, I can give mine out.
There you
And,
go.
I
that
see.
I'm easy to get in touch with.
There you go.
And I'm open to well, I'm not open to everything, but I am willing to listen.
The first guy
so.
you are. You put up with me. And
I
then the
do.
first guy I heard that gave his number that inspired me before I ever thought about running was Clay Clark. Clay Clark was on KFAQ, and he was going to run for mayor for a second. And and he gave his number, and I called him too. He was like, hey,
Talked him out of it.
yeah. He's like, I'm not running for mayor. I'm scared. I'm afraid.
Right, I'm scared.
Nut jobs from everywhere. Rhonda, thanks for being
Well,
here.
thank you so much for having me. I have enjoyed this immensely,
Excellent.
and I look forward to doing it again sometime soon. Maybe we'll have some breaking news or something that we're
Good
doing.
way.
But, I'd love to give you an update on what's going on here in Tulsa County.
We will do it. We appreciate you being here. We'll definitely want to have you back, especially to find out where we're going in the future. So, Rhonda, we're going to send you away, but first I'm going to beam you out.
All right.
Here it goes, Van. Don't you touch a thing. There it goes, Rhonda. See you, Rhonda. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Oh, that was sweet, wasn't it?
There we go.
There you go. Did you
I
see how?
see.
Now, this was
Did
a
I do-
lesson to anybody who comes on 3D Politics of how to stiff arm the host. Rhonda was able to just say, just hold it, Tom. Nice job, Rhonda. She just